A smoke alarm is obviously one of the most important safety devices you can have in your house. But there's one problem with the traditional standalone smoke alarm. If something happens downstairs while you're sleeping upstairs, will you actually hear it? Sensereo recently sent me 3 of their new MS-1 Interlink smoke alarms, and that's exactly the problem they're trying to solve. If one of these detects smoke, the other alarms around the house sound as well. And what's especially interesting for me is that they do this over matter and thread, so the communication between the alarms happen locally, rather than relying on the cloud. So today I'm going to install all 3 around my house, connect them to Home Assistant, test whether this interlink feature actually works, and then unplug the internet and test it again. Now, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you might remember that I already tested the original Sensereo MS-1. This new version looks very similar, but there's one major difference: interlink. Sensereo calls it one alarm, all alarm. Basically, instead of having 3 completely independent smoke alarms, these work together across your thread network. And that's also an important distinction. The original MS-1 cannot be linked with the new MS-1 Interlink. The new version uses different hardware, so if you already own the old ones, you can't mix them for this feature. They'll sit on the same Matter network happily, but the interconnection only works interlink to interlink. One thing before we start, Sensereo sent me these 3 units to test. Until the end of August, they're also offering a 10% discount. So if you decide these smoke alarms could be useful in your home, you can use the link in the description. Let's look at what you actually get in the box. You get the alarm, the mounting bracket, screws and anchors, and the manual. It has a compact size, it's not so bulky, and it has sealed battery rated to 7 years, while a replaceable CR1T3A powers connectivity, so no need for annual battery replacement. It has a 1 multi-button on the front, a status LED, an alarm grill, and it's a EN14604 certified, independently tested by TÜV Rheinland. Worth mentioning because a smart smoke alarm that isn't certified is a gadget, not a safety device. Installation is fully wireless, do-it-yourself, no mains wiring, no electrician, but we'll come back to the mounting because there's a right order to do this. Before installing them permanently, Sensereo recommends pairing all of the alarms close to your Matter controller or thread border router first. Once they're connected, you give the thread network about 5 minutes to stabilize before testing the interlink connection. I'm going to add mine to Home Assistant, because that's what I'm using for most of my smart home. But because it's Matter, you're not locked in. You can use Apple Home, Google Home, SmartThings, and other Matter-compatible platforms. Alexa setups also work too. One thing worth being clear about, because these are Matter over Thread devices, you do need a thread border router. That's important. Having Home Assistant alone doesn't automatically mean you have a Thread network. In my case, I already have Thread running in the house. I use the SBT1 dongle, so let's get the first one paired. All 3 alarms are now in Home Assistant. I can see the smoke state and the battery level on each one, which already puts them ahead of a normal alarm. And there's another useful feature here: remote self-test. Home Assistant cannot remotely trigger the actual fire alarm, and that's probably a good thing. What it can do, it can start a built-in self-test remotely. So before I install these around the house, let's make sure everything is actually communicating properly. Quick warning from my own testing. While the other alarms are responding, you can't silence them by hand, and if you press the multi-button on the responding alarm, it doesn't stop. It starts a whole new test cycle. Just let the cycle finish. Everything's confirmed working, so now I can install them. And because Sensereo sent me 3, I'm going to try to create a realistic setup. One downstairs, another one in a different part of the house, and one upstairs. Placement tip: that applies to any alarm, at least 30 centimeters away of the wall of the ceiling apex, and away from the bathroom and the space directly above the stove. Now we get to the main reason I wanted to test these. I've installed the 3 alarms in different parts of the house, and I'm going to start the interlink test from this one here. If everything's working correctly, this alarm should start the test, and the other 2 should respond as well, so let's try it. And there we go, all 3 alarms responded. This is the really important difference compared with having 3 standalone alarms. If something happens in one area of the house, I'm not relying on the single alarm being loud enough for everybody to hear it. So if this alarm downstairs detects smoke during the night, the alarm upstairs warns us as well. There is also something interesting about the interlink test that I didn't know before testing these. The responding alarms actually give you an indication of the quality of their thread connection. According to Sensereo, more response cycles, up to 3, indicate a stronger thread connection. So this isn't only testing whether the siren works, it can also help figure out whether you placed an alarm somewhere with weak thread coverage. There's one more thing I want to test. Sensereo says the interlink communication itself is local, so the alarm doesn't need the cloud to warn each other. Let's find out. I'm unplugging the internet, and to be precise, I'm pulling the WAN cable from my router, so my local network and Home Assistant stay up, but nothing can reach the outside. Now let's run the interlink test again. If the 3 alarms still communicate with no internet, that's exactly what I want from a safety device like this. A smoke alarm that stops warning the rest of the house because someone's internet is having a bad day or it's down is not a safety device. To be fair about what still needs internet, remote notifications to your phone when you're not home, and anything cloud side is whichever ecosystem you use. But alarm to alarm, it's local. And because the smoke state is just a normal Home Assistant entity, you can build on top of it. All lights to full white when smoke is detected, a notification that names the room, and a monthly automation that runs the remote self-test on all 3, and pings me if one of them don't report back. The last one is the thing a dumb alarm can never do. It tests itself on a schedule and tells you when it's broken. So after testing the MS-1 Interlink alarms, my overall experience has been very good. Pairing them with Home Assistant over Matter was quick and straightforward, and I didn't run in any connection issues or retries during the setup. During testing, all 3 alarms responded as expected, and the interlink feature worked well, with no dropouts or strange behavior that I noticed based on the testing. Overall, the setup was easier than I expected, and having all 3 alarms connected through Matter and linked together makes this a much more useful setup than having 3 completely independent smoke alarms. So, who is this alarm for? For anyone with more than one floor, with a big house or a hallway, who wants interconnected alarms without wiring the house or signing up to another cloud. What you need first: a thread border router. This isn't a zero infrastructure purchase. And if you own the original MS-1, remember they won't link with these. The link to the MS-1 Interlink is in the description. There's a 10% discount running until the end of August. And yes, it's an affiliate link too, which helps me support the channel at no extra cost to you. If you have any questions about these alarms, let me know in the comments. And if you're new here, I cover smart home tech, Home Assistant, and AI in home automation, so consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.